So continue with the verse number 20. प्रबोधयति मा विद्यं विषिते शोककर्षिता वर्त्मैतद् गृहमेधीयं वीरसूरपीडिष्यति. Yes, translation.
King Puranjana continued thinking how, when he was in a state of bewilderment, his wife would give him good counsel, and how she would become aggrieved when he was away from home. Although she was the mother of so many sons and heroes, the king still feared that she would not be able to maintain the responsibility of household affairs. Purport: at the time of death, King Puranjana was thinking of his wife, and this is called polluted consciousness. As Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatana Manashashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity is, after all, part and parcel of the Supreme Spirit, Krishna. In other words, Krishna's constitutional position and the living entity's constitutional position are the same qualitatively. The only difference is that the living entity is eternally an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatana. In this material world of conditional life, the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord, the individual soul, is struggling due to his contaminated mind and consciousness. As part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, a living entity is supposed to think of Krishna. But here we see that King Puranjana, the living entity, is thinking of a woman. Such mental absorption with some sense object brings about the living entity's struggle for existence in this material world. Since King Puranjana is thinking of his wife, his struggle for existence in the material world will not be ended by death. As revealed in the following verses, King Puranjana had to accept the body of a woman in his next life due to his being overly absorbed in the thoughts of his wife. Thus, mental absorption in social, political, pseudo religious, national, and communal consciousness is cause for bondage. During one's lifetime, one has to change his activities in order to attain release from bondage. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Yagyarthat karmano anyatro lokoyam karma bandhanaha. If we do not change our consciousness in this life, whatever we do in the name of social, political, religious, or communal and national welfare will be the cause of our bondage. This means we have to continue in material conditional life. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Manashashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. When the mind and senses are engaged in material activities, one has to continue his material existence and struggle to attain happiness. In each and every life, one is engaged in the struggle to become happy. Actually, no one in this material world is happy, but the struggle gives a false sense of happiness. A person must work very hard, and when he attains the result of his hard work, he thinks himself happy. In the material world, people do not know what real happiness is. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhi grayam atindriyam. Bhagavad Gita 6.21. Real happiness must be appreciated by one's transcendental senses. Unless one is purified, the transcendental senses are not manifest. Therefore, to purify the senses, one must take to Krishna consciousness and engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Then there will be real happiness and liberation. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.8. Shariram yadav apnoti yachapi utkramatishvara gurhitaitani samyati vayur gandhan ivashayat. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. If the wind passes over a garden of roses, it will carry the aroma of roses. And if it passes over a filthy place, it will carry the stench of obnoxious things. Similarly, King Puranjana, the living entity, now passes the air of his life over his wife, woman. Therefore, he has to accept the body of a woman in his next life. Hare Krishna.
Yes. We'll read one more verse. 21. कथं नु दारकादीना दारकीर्वापरायणः वर्तिष्यन्ते मयि गते भिन्ननाव इवो दधौ. Translation.
King Puranjana continued worrying, "After I pass from this world, how will my sons and daughters, who are now fully dependent on me, live and continue their lives? Their position will be similar to that of passengers aboard a ship wrecked in the midst of the ocean." Purport: At the time of death, every living entity worries about what will happen to his wife and children. Similarly, a politician also worries about what will happen to his country or his political party. Unless one is fully Krishna conscious, he has to accept a body in the next life according to his particular state of consciousness. Since Puranjana is thinking of his wife and children and is overly engrossed in thoughts of his wife, he will accept a body of a woman. Similarly, a politician or so-called nationalist who are inordinately attached to the land of his birth will certainly be reborn in the same land after ending his political career. One's next life will also be affected by the acts one performs during this life. Sometimes politicians act most sinfully for their own sense gratification. It is not unusual for a politician to kill the opposing party. Even though a politician may be allowed to take birth in his so-called homeland, he still has to undergo suffering due to his sinful activities in his previous life. The science of transmigration is completely unknown to the modern scientist. So-called scientists do not like to bother with these things because if they would at all consider this subtle subject matter and the problems of life, they would see that their future is very dark. Thus, they try to avoid considering the future and continue committing all kinds of sinful activities in the name of social, political, and national necessity. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, Prabhuji will explain this tomorrow. We will conclude today and continue tomorrow. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you all.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you,
Prabhupada,
everyone.
thank
Hare
you, Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.